What's good, everyone? I'm Biggie Sweats and welcome back to our series of class guides. Today I'm going to be bringing you the Windwalker Monk, one of my favorite classes in the whole game. But before we get started, make sure we like, subscribe and share this video to everyone you know, and make sure you come and visit us on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday between 3 PM and 10 PM BST. Now let's jump straight into this. Boom! So the first part of the guide, and as always, is going to be your Covenant and Legendaries. Now before we jump straight in, this is a beginner's guide to get you ready and prepared for any PvE environment that you may take on, whether that's Mythic dungeons or raiding. Okay, so first off, we are going to be going Necro Lord for your Windwalker Monk, and with that you're going to be going your first legendary, of course, which is Unity, which is gained from doing this Zerath Mortis questline at 275 on your belt right here. You're going to gain the effect Bountiful Brew, which your abilities have a low chance to cast a Bone Dust Brew at your target's location. Bone Dust Brew is the main Covenant spell you get from being Necrolord. You basically just throw a brew on the floor and it does your abilities have a 50% chance to affect the target a second time for 40% effectiveness, as shadow damage, and spinning crane kick refunds 1 chi when striking enemies with your Bone Dust Brew. So it basically just gives you another one of them at random chance. So the main legendary that you're going to be crafting is Invoker's Delight. And this is plain and simple. You gain 33% haste for 20 seconds after summoning your Celestial. So your Celestial is, who's this? A Warlock stood in front of me. So your Celestial is Juen. It is your big tiger boy that you use as your main CD in a fight at the start of a fight and when it's off cooldown. This will then give you your Invoker's Delight, which is increased haste by 33%. These are the two legendaries you're going to be going, and great luck is that you're going to be going them for both dungeons and raiding, meaning you don't have to craft anymore, and it's very plain and simple jumping into any process. So next up, we got Soulbinds and Conduits for your Necro Lord PvE situations. Now the Soulbind person you're going is Amini, which is strange because I don't really know any other DPS classes that actually go this dude. So I'm going to shrink myself down so we can see all the conduits we need to go. Boom. And we're going to start by lead by example, straight into coordinated defensive, which is when you use Storm, Earth and Fire spirits and they fixate on the same target, they deal more damage. So Storm, Earth and Fire is basically creating copies of yourself. They copy your abilities, and when they all focus the same target, you deal extra damage. Next up, we have this Dizzying Tumble, which is targets affected by your leg sweep deal so much less damage for 5 seconds. So leg sweep is an AoE stun. Anyone hit by that is now dealing less damage. It's great in a Mythic Plus environment, as big pull packs can be stunned and deal less damage to your party. Raiding, not so much, because that single target and bosses can't be stunned. Then into Cartilaginous Legs, straight into Harm Denial, which expels harms. Healing is increased by a certain percentage. Expel harm is defensive. It heals you and does a little bit of damage to people around you. And then straight into Bone Marrow Hops. Now this directly affects your Covenant spell. Bone Dust Brew shadow damage or healing is increased by a certain percentage, and when Bone Dust Brew deals shadow damage or healing, its cooldown is reduced by 0.5 seconds. So overall, this is just a fat buff to your main Covenant spell that you're going to be using all the time. Then we're going to go into Gristled Toes, then straight into Calculated Strikes. Spinning Crane Kick's bonus from striking a unique target with Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick or Rising Sun Kick is increased by an additional 18%. So this is just a flat out bonus damage increase to your major abilities. Then straight into Slow Sloth, then into Fortifying Ingredients. Fortifying Brew grants you a shield equal to a certain percentage of your maximum health for 15 seconds. So Fortifying Brew is your main defensive CD. Basically turns you big, turns you grey, turns your skin into stone, increasing your current and maximum health by 15% and reducing your damage taken by 15%. This is just basically a flat out buff on that. Then straight into Pustule Eruption as the final one. Now these are your conduits for Mythic dungeons. Now for raiding, I think you can either keep this setup or change one simple little thing and add something in. So we're going to change from this to this and add in Tumbling Technique. Basically, every time you use Blackout Kick, it has a chance to grant you a charge or roll, meaning your mobility and utility is heightened. And in raid situations, this can be really helpful. But also, so can this to block out big hits to help your healers, or to just, if you mess up in a situation, you can just cover it with Fortifying Brew. So play about with it, take what you think is correct for your situation and for your build. But I would say either take this or this for raiding. This definitely for Mythic Dungeons, this possibly for raiding. Next up, everyone's favorite part and probably the most important for any situation, and that is your Windwalker talents. We're going to start off by going Chi Burst. So basically you just hurl a ball into the enemies and it heals or deals damage and generates chi upon hit. As we can see here, I'll show it off. Basically just throw it out like that and it goes straight in a straight line and hits all the targets or people in front of you. Next up is a utility spell. So we're going to go with Tiger Loss. This is the one that is primarily used by everyone because it's a great escape and it removes all roots. You can really go whatever you like. You can play about with it, and for whatever given situation you can use them, but Tiger's Lust is the most used and the most beneficial. Then straight into Ascension. Increases your maximum chi by 1, maximum energy by 20, and your energy regeneration by 10%. You can't really not go this, as overall it's just increasing everything to do with the monk class. Then we're going to go into another utility, which is Ring of Peace. Basically, Ring of Peace, I will learn to talk one day. You place it on the floor, and it knocks back anything out of the area. You could really go anything here, you could choose, but Ring of Peace is great for Mythic Dungeons. Then we're going to go into Dampen Harm. Reduces all damage you take by 20% to 50% for 10 seconds, with larger attacks being reduced more. So this is great for survivability. In your higher keys, your higher hitting environments, this is what you need to take. Although, there is a lot of people also taking Diffuse Magic. Reduces magic damage you take by 60% for 6 seconds, and it transfers all currently active harmful magical effects on you back to the original caster, if possible. So this is also a great one to take if you've got a dungeon or a boss that does more magic damage, then go with this. If not, then I would say go with Dampen Harm. Next up, we're going with Dance of Chi G. Spending Chi has a chance to make your next spinning crane kick free and deal 200% increased damage. Now this is great. So you spend Chi all the time. Everything you do is spending Chi. So having your next crane kick be free and deal double its damage in AoE environments just blasts. Then we're going to go into Whirling Dragon Punch. For Mythic Dungeons, this is great. Perform a devastating whirling upward strike, dealing a certain amount of damage to all nearby enemies. Only usable while both Fists of Fury and Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown. So you've got to time it right, but in an AoE environment, it's just perfect. It blasts. So your raiding talents change just slightly. And when I say raiding talents, I'm using a very broad term there, because a lot of bosses are still going to be your Mythic Dungeon talents. So take Fated Sanctum of Domination that's currently in rotation right now. A lot of the bosses in there are AoE or multi-target bosses. So your Mythic Dungeon talents will work the best in them situations. But if you take bosses that are single target like Tarangu or Remnant, then you're going to be wanting to go way more single target, and that's where you're going to take Eye of the Tiger. So Tiger Palm also applies Eye of the Tiger, dealing 886 native damage to the enemy and healing for a certain amount, limit to 1 target, and hit combo. Each successive attack that triggers combo strikes in a row grants 1% increased damage, stacking up 6 times. Now the special thing is with Monk is that every ability you use that's not the same ability as the previous one increases the damage you deal. So that ties in really well with hit combo. Now, like I said, in the current rotation for Sanctum, there's not many bosses where you will be going this. Maybe 2, maybe 3. For pure single target, this is what you want to go. But most of the time, you're still going to be running your Mythic Dungeon talents. So next up, we're going to be talking about stat prio, gems, enchants, consumables, everything you need to get prepared for these environments that you're going to throw yourself into. Starting with stat priority. So for monks, again, it's a very strange one. It's a bit like Enhance and Demon Hunter, but weapon damage is always going to be king here, and then into agility. So that means just raise your item level and your weapons item level. Just keep raising them up and you're going to do the most damage. From there, you're going to go into Verse as your primary main stat. Then Crit and Mastery sort of on the same level, because you do have some very high benefits from Mastery that I explained in the previous part. And then Haste as your final one. So that is weapon damage and item level. Then into Agility. Then into Verse. Crit and Mastery sort of on the same level. Then into Haste in that order. focus on bringing that item level up. That will then increase your damage. Then focus on bringing your versatility up. Of course, there's always a few diminishing returns when you start passing over the 30% mark with all stats, so be wary when you're pushing out of, say, past 39%. So next up, we're going to be talking about gems, enchants, and whatnot. So coming off the back of the stat prio stuff, I would suggest simming your character to figure out what stats you need to bring up, to figure out what gear that you have is the best, and what gives you the best DPS in your AoE and single target environments, because you're never going to exactly know unless you get to simming it. Now, I'll drop a video over the next week on how to sim your character for single target and AoE, so don't worry about that. But for now, sim is your best friend. Now we're going to talk about consumables, gems, and all that. So the gems you want to be taking are Leviathan's Eye of Agility in one slot only, as it raises your agility by 7, and it's great to have. Next, you want to fill your other slots with the versatile jewel cluster. Everything's going to appear on the screen, making it easy for you to see. Then you're going to want, for a two-hander, for single target situation, you're going to want Sinful Revelation on it. If not, and it's AoE, then you're going to want Lightless Force on it. Then for dual wielding, you're going to want either Sinful on your main hand for single target, Lightless on your main hand for AoE, and then always on your offhand, you want Celestial Guidance. You want Eternal Stats on your chest, Eternal Agility on your boots, rings. Sim your gear to find out what's best. If not, you could always go with versatility. And then cloak, you want Soul Vitality, but there is a lot of cloak enchants you can choose depending on your situation. Consumables, you're going to be only taking the Flask of Spectral Power, which is the same for all DPS classes. The Potion of Spectral Agility as your pre-pot and pot during the fight. Cosmic Healing Potions for survivability. Feast of Glutinous Hedonism if someone in your party has got it, or you have them yourself. If not, you're going to want to sim for what food is the best for you, but Steak a la Mode brings up that versatility, which we know is our second main stat. Now, you want to put Shaded Weight Stones if you've got like maces or anything, or Shaded Sharpening Stones if you've got swords, and that is your weapon enchant. These are everything you need to be prepared for your raiding and mythic dungeon environments. Now, as always, I want to talk about your dinar currency that you get from killing raid bosses during season 4. There are 3 main items that you're going to want to target. One is a Vastrum the Unmaking, which is the Jailer two-handed weapon. Then Scars of Fraternal Strife, which is also off the Jailer. And then the first Sigil, which is off Pantheon. All of these are Sanctum upgrades, easy to buy. And right now, 3 weeks, no, what are we like, 5 weeks in now, you should have the ability to almost buy everything you need off there, and then go and do the other difficulties to upgrade them. So next up, we're going to be talking about your rotation, single target, and AoE. So a couple of things to note before we start and show it off is Expel Harm if under 5 chi and about to cap, Tiger Palm if under 4 chi and about to cap energy, Chi Burst if talented under maximum chi, Spinning Crane Kick if you're using Dance of Chi or talented into Dance of Chi. These will all be included into your single target rotation. Now, one of the main things to note with Windwalker Monk, you will be changing targets during your AoE fights to spread the 15-second debuff that they get from Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick, as well as Rising Sun Kick. This is because each instance of that debuff increases the damage of your Spinning Crane Kick by 10% up to 50%. But we're going to jump straight in and show you a little bit of the single target DPS rotation, starting off with Fleshcraft, as we are Necrolord, of course. Straight into a Chi Burst, Expel Harm, Tiger Palm, Juwen, Bone Dust, then landing over Storm, Karma just for the damage they take, then Fists, Wooden Dragon Kick, Blackout, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, expel a bit of that harm, Blackout, Tiger Palm, Blackout, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick again, Tiger Palm. See, change it, doing different abilities each time. So your mastery kicks in. But yeah, that is your single target rotation right there. That's what you should be looking to do. Keeping different abilities each time, and when dance procs, obviously using Spinning Crane Kick. That is your single target rotation. And now I'm going to show you a bit of the AoE one. We're going to start again with your Fleshcraft. Straight into Achievers, obviously making it hit both targets if you can. Expel Harm, straight into a Tiger's Palm, then straight into Juwen, Bone Dust on both targets, Storm, swap targets to spread that debuff now on both, and your Storm's attacking both, Whirling on both, Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Expel, Blackout, Spinning Crane Kick, Blackout, Tiger Palm. Storm again. Boom. Spinning crane kick. See, we're adding spinning crane kick in a lot more because we're multi-targeting here. Trying to keep the debuff on both. But that is the base premise of your AoE rotation. It's basically adding in a bit more spinning crane kick. Make sure you got your debuff spread across the targets. And splitting your damage up like that. I've had an absolute pleasure filming this video. Windwalker Monk has always been one of my favorite classes. I actually played this a little bit in Mythic raiding during Nafria, and I had a whole lot of fun with it. Refilming this and doing this has made me fall in love with it again. So I think I'm going to take this a step higher and do a few keys and gear this a bit more. But guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. For those that made it all the way through the guide, I hope it's helped you even a little bit get ready for your PvE situations. I'm Biggie Sweats. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and comment below. Come and check us out on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 PM to 10 PM BST. Till next time, peace.